Hi guys, welcome back. Today's video is going to be about gratitude. So if you've been dealing with anxiety or anxiety disorders, then you've probably experienced some level of hopelessness, right? It makes sense because things are really hard when you have to deal with anxiety. There's a lot of pressure, you feel very vulnerable, and actually it just feels like you can't do things half the time. Now, gratitude is something that can help, and in this video, we're going to talk about how it can help you and how you can implement it. So let's get on into it. So firstly, why can gratitude help? Basically, it just changes your mindset into a more positive place. With anxiety, there's often a lot of negativity, and that negativity can cause those anxious thoughts to spiral. So if your anxiety is triggered by thoughts of worrying or fear of judgment or embarrassment or that something bad will happen, then gratitude can actually help shift that mindset into a more positive place. So gratitude really is just being grateful and looking for the good things that are in your life, past and present. So one of the ways it can really help you is to just realize how much you've achieved. It's easy to forget how far we've come on our anxiety journey because it's still difficult. You know, any anxiety attack is difficult. Any moment of severe anxiety is difficult, regardless of how many times you've been through it or how long you've been dealing with it. It's still really hard to cope with. And in those moments, it can be really easy to forget how much we've accomplished. And this is where gratitude comes in, because if you can remember how you got through those times and be grateful that you got through those times, it'll help you know that you'll get through this time. And that's really one of the main things with gratitude, that you really focus on what you've done and how glad you are that you got through it. It also helps because it just makes you feel better about your life. It brings a sense of hopefulness rather than hopelessness. So if you think back to a time when everything was or you felt that everything was really bad, if you had a way to see actually what's good, that moment A, may have been over quicker, but B, it's just more inspiring and uplifting. So that's really what you want to do, you know. Gratitude helps you to view the good things in the moment and remember the good things that are a part of your life, and that then helps with motivation, which is another brilliant thing from gratitude. Having those moments where, you know, you're feeling like everything's rubbish, I can't do anything, by remembering what you have done, you feel motivated to conquer it and overcome it. Because don't forget, with anxiety, it's often linked to depression, and that's because of the hopelessness that comes from not being able to do certain things. But if you implement gratitude, you might realize that actually it's not so bad, and although it's difficult, you can overcome it. So that's basically the gist of why gratitude works. Now we want to focus on how you can implement it. So the first thing is a gratitude journal. Basically, you write down 3 things every single day of what you're grateful for in your life, or what's happened in the day that you're grateful for. Ideally, every day should be different, because that will give you a variety of things. It will help you look harder for the things to be grateful for. Initially, it might seem pointless, it might not be that helpful because you're just starting out. But as time goes on, firstly, you'll notice it's more difficult because you have the generic things like, I'm really grateful I've got a roof over my head, I'm really grateful that I've eaten today, I'm really grateful that I've got a warm bed, I'm really grateful that I've got my family. You know, really kind of generic things, but also consistent things. But once you're on, like, I don't know, day 7 or 8, you might think, oh, I don't really know what I'm grateful for today. And that's okay. But the point is that you will search for something. So it might be something tiny that happened on the day. Like, let's say you went to get a coffee and you enjoyed the coffee. Say, I'm really grateful that coffee turned out alright. I'm really grateful that the drive I had today went well. I'm really grateful that I managed to sit down and watch a film today. Those little things, they are actually just as important as the big things. And by putting yourself in a position where you have to look for them, that is what helps generally shift your mindset. And if you can shift it from a negative headspace, you can overcome the anxiety quicker. Because don't forget, anxiety is a response to a threat. Often it's subconscious, but sometimes it is a conscious thought. And it's those thoughts that if you can override them with something more positive, you might notice that your anxiety will slowly just go down. Another way that you can implement gratitude, and it's one that I use, is to say thanks every morning or every night. Now, it obviously depends on your spiritual beliefs, but just saying thank you, whether it be to the universe or not, but just saying thank you every morning or every night, it does really help fill you actually with joy. So although this video is more about how gratitude helps with anxiety, it helps in actually improving your general mood. Because you realise how good the day's been, or the previous day was, or what you're looking forward to. You start to focus more on those things, and that's really where you'll see the biggest difference. So there's no limit to the number. I mean, if you want to say thanks for one thing, like, I'm really grateful that I woke up today, or I'm really grateful that I've got this to look forward to today, which is why personally I prefer to say thanks at night, because more's happened in the day, and in the morning I am just half asleep and I barely know what my name is. So saying thanks though, just whatever comes to mind. What are you glad about in that day? And the more you do it, the easier it will get, and the more you will see is actually good in life, and you'll realise it's not all bad and it's not all difficult. So you may have had one anxiety attack in a day, let's just say, for example, and that anxiety attack, although it's only one, it would have just drained you and it would have thrown off the entire day. And it can be hard to see what was good in that moment. But actually, when you sit down and you say, okay, what am I glad about today? The first thing will probably be, I'm glad that it was over. I'm glad that I got through it. I'm glad that I was somewhere safe when it happened. Or I'm glad that this happened before, or something, whatever happens in your day, you then start to look for the good things, and then you realise actually your life doesn't have to be consumed by anxiety. Another way to say thanks or to implement gratitude is to actually say thank you to particular people in your life. That often will be like a parent or a friend who's been there for you, and that will help them feel better, but it'll also help you. So it's just something simple like dropping a text and you're like, thanks for being there today, or thanks for being a good friend, or thanks for listening to me vent about this, or thanks for supporting me through this. You don't have to do it all the time. This isn't like a regular thing, but I don't know, try once a week that you just message somebody or call somebody, or just when you're speaking to them, just say thank you. And mean it, actually, because it becomes easy to just say it out of politeness, please, thank you, pardon me, sorry, that kind of thing. So you want to say it sincerely, you want to mean it. So make sure you are telling somebody thank you when you are actually grateful for something they've brought to your life. And the reason that helps you is, A, you'll feel better making somebody else feel better, but also you'll feel good realising that you have a support network. And again, it could be that it's actually a stranger. You know, there are forums on Quora where you can ask questions or you communicate with people, and somebody might offer a really helpful piece of advice. Just comment back and be like, thanks, actually that was really useful for me. Those kind of things make the difference and help shift your mindset. Now, in those moments where you do feel hopeless, that's when it's good to have a gratitude journal. You know, going back to that, having something physical there that you can read through is easier than just having memories as such. So although you might have said thank you and you might have thought thank you for certain things that have happened in the day, it's easier still having something physically there that you can read through and say, oh yeah, this was actually really good. Or yeah, actually I've still got that and I'm really happy that I do. So it'll help trigger more like grateful thoughts. And it's good to be grateful for what you have. Ultimately, that's what you want to achieve with gratitude, is that you realise life is good and you can get through difficulties because there's so much that you can look forward to. And that's really what you want to do. So I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, drop it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and comment down below just something that you're grateful for, or any other ways that you like to express gratitude, whether that's to the universe or to a friend or just to yourself. And I'll see you next week.